Says that it's preparing. So let me see. I'm going to go to the Facebook and see.
My screen is saying that we are live on Facebook. So
okay, I'm not. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Good morning.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. My name is Molly Walt, Management Analyst Coordinator for the Nevada Commission for Women. Joining us today, we have Nevada Commission Commissioner Diane Farron and educator and parent Angie Zobrak, who will be discussing the challenges, struggles, resources that she has found with just online education, distance education as a teacher and a parent. And Commissioner, today we're introducing the Commissioner Farron's call of action for the commission. Each commissioner was asked for a call of action, and Commissioner Farron's is supporting parents in the workplace through COVID-19. Commissioner Farron, would you like to tell us why this call of action is important to you?
Thank you, Molly. And Angie, it is such a pleasure to meet you, and I appreciate you taking the time to share some of your tricks of the trade and just good tips to go ahead and get through what none of us 7 months ago even had on the horizon as a horror movie we might go see at the theater. So very, very much appreciate that. And truly, I was inspired by Molly talking in one of the Nevada Commission for Women meetings regarding the struggles she, as a working parent, would be encountering in the work she does now from home in Carson City, Nevada, to support the Commission for Women's ongoing volunteer efforts, and she does a tremendous job. Also had the opportunity to become aware that the CEO of a nonprofit in Southern Nevada, that's Liz Ortenberger over at Safe Nest, has put into place a number of protocols, supports, and updated strategies for both being a working mom as an executive of the organization, and then supporting her 81 employees, many of whom have children in school who need to go ahead and be supported while their full-time job isn't any less than full-time. So Liz had come up with and spoken with Molly and I a little bit earlier today and shared some of those tips and adaptations that I'm thrilled are existing, because we are a resourceful group here of women in Nevada, and the commission wants to be able to share as much of that, what's been figured out, with others as soon as we can. And that's the purpose of this call to action and our time together this morning.
So Angie, we have some questions that we'll be asking you. It will go from Diane to myself and back and forth. And then if we have time, we would like to ask those who are viewing this live, if they have any questions, they can ask the questions in the comment section of Facebook. And then if we have time, we'll ask Angie if she would like to address those questions. All right. So, but thank you again for joining us today. So Commissioner Farron, did you want to go ahead?
Thank you. And Angie, to set the table, what grade do you teach?
So, well, thank you for inviting me to this meeting. I am currently a kindergarten teacher.
Wow. Okay. And how many students do you have?
I have 23 students, most who speak a second language.
Well, that's one way to take it from interesting to, oh my goodness, interesting.
Yes.
And in addition to being a working professional from home, trying to support your 20+ students who also have language challenges or opportunities layered on top, you are also a working parent. And how many school-age children do you have at home right now?
So I have 4. I include my oldest, who's in college, because she's attending school as well. So I have 4, and they are at every level. So elementary, middle school, high school, and college.
So they are experiencing the remote learning from the certainly child and parent side, And then as a teacher, how are things going?
So I'm one of those people that's very frank and very honest. I had a lot of hesitation at the beginning. I will say that I feel like it's going a lot better than I had expected, although this is 1,000 times harder than I've ever had to do anything as far as education goes. But I feel like it's going well. I communicate well with, I call them my parents, my students' families. And I just tell them we have to communicate with each other, otherwise things are going to break down. So as a teacher, I feel like it's going very, very well for the situation we're in.
And previously, you would have communicated with parents and families and children. What kind of difference has it made for that to be done via video or phone instead of in person?
It's the difference is I feel like in person, I could have just explained something very simply like, oh, look at this paper. These are the things you need to work on tonight at home, or these are the things I'm working on with your child. Now I like have to record a video and say, here's step by step on how to correct, like since you're kindergartners, how to make letters or numbers, or how to hold your scissors correctly. And so it's like double or triple the work, because normally I could have just shown the child in class and then explained it quickly at dismissal or something to the parent. So now I'm calling them, check your class dojo. I sent a video on today's lesson, or making sure that they know their child's schedule. And that's different for a lot of folks. Like they don't realize how scheduled the day has to be honest with you. Like that's different too. All the things we cover in one day.
Well, that is certainly admirable, because you've had additional work then of supporting your children, I'm sure, from home while learning. And I know Molly has some questions to ask in addition.
I do, because on that question, I wanted to go. So are all of your lessons pre-recorded, or do you do synchronized learning?
So I do both, actually. So I start my day synchronously. All these new terms are hard for me to spill out, but so I start my day. So for the first hour or so of my day, I'm with the kids live, and we're just learning and trying to get to know each other, teaching the kids how to take turns sharing information over the web and dealing with bandwidths and wait time. So they're getting really good at that. And then the week before, so let me step back. So the week before, I pre-record all of my lessons, and I work with my kindergarten team is really great. We all took a subject area, and we each record for the week coming up, and then the kids can play those videos. They're about 8 to 10 minutes each. So there's reading, writing, math, phonics, a shared reading, and a social studies, because we have a science teacher. But the kids watch those through the day. So they spend like another hour and a half on the computer watching the videos and doing it in our lessons that we record. So it's a lot, actually.
And then a follow up on that, do you find that with kindergartners that they're able to do it on their own, or is it something that the parents really have to be sitting next to them?
We're trying to figure out how we can have the kids become more independent, but it's very challenging, because trying to navigate the computer and the platform that we're using with our district, and kids having to log in, log off, click here, click there at certain times is tricky. And so the parents really have to be right there, especially if I would call it the primary years. They have to be there to make sure the kid is where they need to be and on time. And can I relate it to my own child? I had to set alarms on a phone. So 5 minutes before he needed to be somewhere, the alarm would go off so he could get to the computer and then be ready to learn, because I can't always just sit with him. My attention's to my job during the day per se. So it's hard. It's a difficult task.
So,
That is a tremendous amount of balance.
because on that, again, because I find that, yes, for my middle schooler or my high schooler, I really wanted the district, Carson City School District, to do synchronized learning. But it would be impossible then to do it district-wide, is what you're saying, because the youngers would not be able to do it. As my 8th grader, yes, he can get in, he can log in, he can move from platform to platform. And I feel as though the synchronized learning is something that they wouldn't be missing so many lessons per week. But, in hindsight, then you wouldn't be able to do that district-wide.
I don't think so. I start, like, my middle school and my high schooler do just fine. They can navigate. They know where to be and what time. They're pretty independent. But my elementary school child, like, it's taken a lot for us to work with him. And okay, now you got to go here, and then I'll be there in a second. Let me just get the kindergarten kids doing something, and we're in 2 different rooms in the house, and the big kids are upstairs, and I'm trying to run between, like, putting on like a brain break video quick so I can run over to make sure he's where he needs to be. It's a struggle.
Yeah.
And your children, are they full-time distance learning then, Angie?
Yes. So all of Clark County School District is full-time distance learning. So we're all CCSD students.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Because we call synchronous learning, like when we're on like a live Google Meet with our students, we call that synchronous learning in our district. And so that's what I meant by synchronous. We're not with our students at all, face-to-face synchronously. And it's as a teacher, it's very difficult. I a lot of times get very emotional over it because I feel like they need us.
Oh, definitely. No, I would agree. Okay, so yeah, that kind of went into a whole lot of different questions
Sorry.
I've listed here for you. If you've discussed, the aspect of a teacher, can you kind of give us some, strategies? And touch on the challenges as well as a parent. Please don't feel like you have to sugarcoat it. We all know that it's challenging, but some of the strategies that you're having, that are working for you as a parent, going through all of them. I guess you go through the elementary, the middle, the high school, and the college student.
Sure. So if I start with my youngest, the strategy that works best for us is just setting those alarms so we know that he's attending his classes, and then staying in communication with his teacher. And so I was very honest with her when we first started, like, I am a teacher as well. And so I can't sit with him all the time. So some of his assignments might not get done until this evening, when I can go check. His school uses Google Classroom. So I can go check his Google Classroom assignments, and then we can submit them. But some things might not get submitted during the school day because I can't be there to make sure he's doing them or answer any questions he might have. So that was my honesty with her, and his teacher was fine with it. And so we just stay in communication, like, make sure all the blue boxes have turned gray. Okay, we're good there. And then the middle school and high schooler, I email. So I check what we call Infinite Campus, is where we can check for grades. And our middle schools and high schools are using Canvas, and a lot of our elementary schools as well. And I'm not comfortable on Canvas, and I see a big discrepancy on grades even. And so I just start emailing teachers, like, I know my son wasn't absent, and I think that's important, like, that parents feel it's okay to communicate their needs to the teachers, because if the teachers don't think there's a need or a problem or anything, then they think everything's hunky-dory and they just go about life. And that's coming from a teacher. Like, I need to know if something's not working so I can fix it. But I also want to know when things are working. And maybe that's the benefit to being an elementary school teacher is parents do say, wow, that was great what you taught us. And so I try to give those kudos to the middle school and high school teachers too, because my kids will come down and you would have saw today in this class, the teacher said blah, blah, blah. And it was so cool. And I try to let the teachers know, like, you're doing a good job. They just want to know that this is hard and what they're doing is okay. We're going to get through this. I hope that answered your question.
Well, and then, so do you keep your middle school and high schooler on a schedule?
I don't. My two, we call them the middle, we have end caps, like our oldest and our youngest. We call them the end caps, and then our middle two. They're very self-sufficient and very driven by school. So they don't want to make any mistakes. Those two are just like, whatever the teacher says, I need to be there. We've never really had to set any boundaries for them. They're just overachievers, let's call them that. They're not me. And then,
so perhaps you need to make sure they don't burn out or do too much because they don't have as much structure as they've had before.
yeah. I do try to tell them, like, okay, like at 4 o'clock in the afternoon or something, they've been online since 7 a.m. when school starts, or 8, whenever. I'll just say, computers put them away. We're done for the day. Go to the park, call your friends, go in the backyard. I don't care what you do, but we're not good. You've had enough screen time for today. Like, sometimes you have to set boundaries for your children. And those are the little things I do. My youngest daughter, Emily, she struggles with me saying, nope, you're done for the day, because middle school condensed their schedule. And I don't know if they call it condensed, but they're doing, so if they had an 8 class normally, now they're doing 4, and they're cramming 1 year of instruction into a semester. And then in the winter, they'll do another 4 classes crammed into a semester. And so it's a lot of work for them to have to get through. So that's where I feel like my middle school child is just like, she wants to make sure all the work is done correctly and done, but she needs a break too. So, and then my high school student, he attends a magnet high school. And I'm not going to say things come easy, but it's the reality that school's pretty easy for him. And even though his classes are very difficult, he just seems to get everything done in a very timely manner. He's like, I'm done. And he gets very good grades. So I don't know, like, how to keep him on. I ask him at dinner time, like, how was school today? What did you learn? Tell me the best part of your day. Instead of them just being able to say it was good, I ask them to tell me something like that. I ask them to give me more. Like, what was the best part of your day? If you could change one thing about today, what would you change? Just to have conversations, because I feel like they're just talking to a computer screen otherwise all day.
True.
And it sounds like you're continually fine-tuning both how you teach and how you parent. Do you feel that this time that your students or your children are still at high risk of falling behind because of the changed methods that the pandemic has imposed on all of us?
I would say 100% yes. Yes. As a teacher, especially a kindergarten teacher, this is a foundational year. And if we don't build that foundation and it has cracks and holes in it, those cracks just get bigger, the holes get wider. And I'm struggling with that a lot. And I'm just trying to figure out, how do I fix that? It's parent conference week down here, not week, but I call it a week because I spread mine out so I can spend more time with my families online, and well, at least online now, but giving them suggestions, ideas of things that I would have done in the classroom that they could do at home. As a parent, I do worry because my youngest struggles in school, and quite honestly, like, reading from a screen isn't his idea of fun. And then, so when are we going to put books in the hands of children? When is that instead of like always, I get emotional over it. Why are we always putting them on a screen?
And Angie, I am sorry to make that so sensitive, and obviously it's overwhelming. So to be overwhelmed is something that many people right this very moment are also experiencing, and you sharing your experience and approach is helping them, which I truly appreciate.
Mhm.
And are there any particular instances among your students' parents where you have any knowledge that either companies or businesses have been able to support those parents? Or do you have any suggestions on what the employers of working parents whose children are doing remote learning, what they could do to make this less of a struggle?
I only actually know of one family in my class where I know the mom works for a major banking corporation. I couldn't name it because she only calls it a major banking corporation, but she gets to work from home. And when her daughter needs assistance, she's told just to contact her supervisor and say, I need to be with my child right now for school. And her employer is really good about like, just, okay, go, just let me know when you're ready to come back or whatever. She was like, so she goes, for like an hour or so a day, I spend with my child away from my job. I'm trying to figure out how to balance my job and helping her and make sure she's successful. And I just always tell her, like, just do the best you can. Don't put her in front of a computer and don't put her in front of a TV. Give her some Play-Doh. Let her learn how to string beads. Like, help your child. I bet she'd be very successful with whatever you do. So
Well, that is beautiful, and the encouragement is invaluable as well.
yeah. But that's the only thing I can think. Like, I don't really know very many of my families and like what their employers are asking of them. Normally, I mean, I work in inner city Las Vegas, and so a lot of our families work at the hotels and casinos. So I don't even know if they're back to work yet, per se. So
Right.
that it's hard. I mean, I'm trying to get, we're 8 weeks into the school year. I'm trying to get to know the families and how can I help you? Are things hard or those kind of things? Just so I can, like, if you have work, then maybe you just watch the videos when you get home, or I don't like
And I think it's going to help a lot of parents to know, as a teacher, you being able to describe your daily experience, both as a working professional and then the parent of children who are remote learning, and then as a teaching professional. So that may allow some working parents to also be a little more understanding at the challenges, and that hasn't lessened your commitment or enthusiasm in any way. I can tell that from our time together. And I'm sure there are a number of other teachers much in that same type of approach. So if we could all be a little kinder to each other and make sure that we can get through it together, still speaking and making some progress, then the pandemic will not have done its very worst, because it's been bad enough. We could all agree with that.
Oh,
Molly, are there some additional questions you may have for Angie, or things that we haven't touched on as of yet?
Yes, so thank you. And you're very passionate, and your kids and your students are very, very fortunate to have you in their lives. So that I wanted to say to you, because just your passion, your emotion, it speaks volumes.
I'm trying to make it every day.
Well, because you're living it. It's not something that, you're living all aspects of what this distance education is right now. It's parents that are struggling who aren't educators. You're the educator who is a parent who is struggling as well. So the only other question I had, though, is, do you find that your middle school and high schooler have to go outside of their the platforms in which the teachers are giving them to find additional resources that, you know, could be filling in the gaps of what lessons or curriculum that they're missing. And if so, what are those resources that they're using?
So I do feel like they do, you'll crack up at this, I guess, but so my middle schooler, she's taking high school level classes for math and some other, I don't even know, like, does it sound terrible as a parent? Like, I don't even know, but I do know it's math. And so, and I'm strong in math, but I always just say, well, can you Google it? Well, yeah, Mom. And I watched on Khan Academy too.
Okay.
And I said, well, then call your grandpa because he was a math teacher. So her resource is FaceTime with grandpa, and he just kind of tries to walk her through how it was when he was a teacher. This is what I would tell my students. And it's developed a relationship between those two. I mean, they've always had a close one, but just different. Like, he's like, oh, she's asking me for help for math. This is great.
Oh, that's cool. That is cool.
It is.
And then, yes, because it is something that I just sent my son to yesterday as well. I'm strong in math, but I didn't have the time. And so I just said, please go to Khan Academy, watch videos on this on Khan Academy. So kudos to Khan Academy right now, I guess.
Yeah. And it's Khan Academy's changed so much since it first came out. And so I have to say, like, I appreciate it a lot more than I did 7 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, that's where he was sent yesterday as well. But no, that's all the, you know, the questions that I had. Again, I thank you for your time. I'm having technical difficulties, which I am, like, right now, extremely surprised that we are live. I'm seeing it through my phone, but because Zoom is telling me that it's not responding to me at all. So I'm really quite shocked. But I don't see, if anybody does have any questions, I am able to see them on my phone. If you would like to ask Angie any questions at this time, feel free.
And while we're waiting for that, Molly, Angie, you brought up what is perhaps a little silver lining of the connection and relationship strengthening between your daughter and her grandfather. Have there been any other small things that are actually positive that wouldn't have occurred without the pandemic?
You know, we talk about this a lot in our family at dinner time, because we don't have any family here, in Southern Nevada. All of our family is up in Montana. And so we've always just had to figure out life on our own down here. And so when the pandemic started, our world just like halted, and we had 4 kids going 4 different directions, sometimes 8, you know, like soccer, cheer, volleyball, baseball. Like, we were everywhere. Just, I'm gonna drop this one off, go here, pick this one up. Who do you have? Where do you get? Like, just crazy. And when everything came crashing down, my husband and I were like, whoa, this is good. Like, the kids started to, I feel like, reconnect with each other and develop relationships where they wanted to hang out with each other, where I felt like before they never really had that opportunity unless they were cheering each other on at a sporting event or something. And so I have to say, like, if anything great, not anything, but for our family, it was coming together and realizing how important we are for each other.
I think that is incredibly beautiful and a gift, and I appreciate you sharing it with us.
Yes, I've enjoyed.
Yes, thank you. Thanks. So we don't have any questions at this time. Nothing is popping up, but like I said, I'm having technical difficulties. So if I missed them, for those of you who are viewing, I apologize. But thank you, Angie, for joining us today. I really appreciate it. You know, do tell your parents I said hello as well. And
folks are going there for dinner tonight. I just found out from my mom.
That what? Your
folks are going to their house for dinner tonight.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. Because my folks are heading back down here next week. So yeah, so it is. You know, in the big scheme of things, it is a small world. We are in Carson City by ourselves as well. majority of our family is up in Montana. So I do appreciate your time. It was great seeing you. It was great reconnecting. And again, you know, you are so passionate. Again, your family, your students, you know, it is so great that they have you. But I have nothing else at this time, but thank you for your time, and it was good to see you.
Yeah, likewise. Likewise.
Angie, truly a pleasure and certainly worthwhile to anybody who will have the opportunity to hear what you've had to share, because I'm inspired and I'm appreciative for everything that you're doing and how you're doing it. So thank you for allowing the Nevada Commission for Women to help give that a channel to share with others for their benefit as well.
Yeah. It was nice to meet you, Diane. Thank you for the time.
All right, so I'm going to have to shut down my entire computer. It's time to end this Facebook. So thanks again, and have a great rest of your day. And I hope that your parent conferences are successful.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.